on the Real World webinar brought to you by SmartGridNews and Accenture. And our topic today is Secrets of Customer Adoption.
So the first one, we call it people, not customers. And when I present this for the first time to people, they often say to me, well, that's just a play on words or simple semantics. What do you mean by that? And really, it's been an aha moment for us over the last 4 or 5 years. Before, we viewed ourselves as being really customer-focused, great marketers, but what it did for us is that it really had us focus in on how they use electricity, how they consume our product. And what we do realize is that, and I'm sure you've all heard this as well, that electricity and electricity conservation is really a low involvement product for people. So here you can see, if you're an advanced marketer, you probably got into some of the demographics, some psychographic pieces, but it still was really focused around electricity use. What we found with electricity is that the only time you care about it is when you can't get it, when you turn on the switch and the lights don't come on. So what do we have to do, knowing that that is the case? We need to think about the customers more broadly. We need to think about them as people. So what are the things that they do value? What are the things that they get emotional about? What can we tap into as far as their network of people that they deal with, the passions that they have, the different things that they do in their life that's far beyond electricity? So that's what really opened our eyes around this principle. Some of the tools that we employ to get at this notion of people, not customers, we obviously like to do a lot of quantitative and qualitative research, which I'm sure you're all very good at, and I'm not about to say that you shouldn't continue to do that, but one thing that we have found really useful, really successful, is if we actually go out and do observational studies of our customers. And we learned that obviously from a very famous person, Jane Goodall, did that in her research around chimpanzees and gorillas. And what we've done is, particularly around our programs where it's around shopping activities, we just go and observe people and watch them shop. A real neat one around lighting that we saw was just how do people interact with the products on the shelf. Are they reading the boxes to get their information? Are they looking at point-of-sale material? Are they asking customer service reps to help them? How are the reps doing at answering the question? We even saw an exchange between a couple of customers where the customer was actually providing this other customer information that they'd heard about the compact fluorescent light bulbs in this case. So really important. We like to push our program managers to try and do this, and they get a lot of neat insights that they'd never get through research because you're actually seeing people in the purchase process. Another neat tool that you'll see on the screen right now, it's dead simple, but we love it because of its simplicity, but also how it opens our mind. So basically we call this the train station. We get the program manager to put the activity that they want their customer to do right in the middle of that train station, so in this case buying an efficient appliance. And then with their brainstorming sessions, with their internal teams, with their partnerships, really brainstorm all the things that have to happen before that and after that. Where are all the opportunities to reach people? So how do people research their appliances? We found some research that males will tend to do the research in the household using consumer reports, other websites. Where do the male and female discuss how they're going to purchase the product? How do the aesthetics fit in? What role does the salesperson play in the selling of the appliances? And you'll find in different categories the salesperson plays a huge role, that people will come to the store without much research at all, or they will not play much of a role at all where the people already know what they want to purchase. And then it's also good to think about the after activity, and you know, we haven't been great at this either, that once somebody's participated, what are all the things you're going to do to reinforce that purchase, whether it's cross-selling them another program, or making them feel like they've done the right thing, or even more importantly, getting them to be an advocate for the program for you. The other principle that I wanted to share with you, all of you are probably familiar with the 5 A's again in addressing barriers. And the one that we thought we were awesome at was removing the awareness barrier. So probably our first 10, 15 years, we put lots of information out there in our advertising about why people should be more conservation-minded, why it makes sense for them to be efficient. And so we thought we had it all figured out and that, okay, all the people should be completely aware now. And obviously we were wrong, that people need to be excited about this stuff. They need to really make an emotional connection, or as the picture shows here, we wanted to try and create some water cooler talk with people. And now that's obviously easier said than done, but a great book, for those of you that haven't read it, is from the Heath brothers. They're both professors, and it's called Made to Stick. And it's just an awesome book about how people can make their communications better, how they can break through and make a connection with people. And it's really these 5 principles. And again, I'd encourage everybody in the demand-side management field to read this book. And actually, they have a brand new book out as well that's called Switch that actually really digs deep into that making an emotional connection, the 4th bullet. And again, nothing surprising here, but you got to keep your message simple. Again, people don't care that much about electricity or electricity conservation, so you're going to have to make it really easy for them to understand. Make it unexpected or have a bit of shock value to it. Wow, I didn't realize that could be the case. Now, particularly with us, when we're talking about electricity conservation, it's a very abstract idea. How do you make that concrete for people? How do you make it something that they can hold on to, how they can really understand what they're doing? How do you make that emotional connection with people? One way we have done that is through the use of celebrities that they value. So we, obviously in Canada, hockey is a big deal for us. So we actually have a famous hockey player from our region who's part of our Team Power Smart initiative. And so utilizing him to help getting our message across. And then like any good communicator, you've got to tell a good story. Another one that we got from the Marketing Leadership Council, which is a great group. I encourage anybody to join this service. What we learned from them was wherever companies can try and tap into more emotional values with their customer, they have much higher loyalty. So you can see here that it's almost 3 times the loyalty of other brands where they can do that. A really cool example that they shared with us is what Pedigree Dog Food did. What they decided was they were going to take all of their sponsorship and community activation budget, and they were going to focus it in. And what they realized was that their customers really valued the welfare of dogs. So not surprisingly, I think the interesting insight for them was that it's not necessarily just their dog, that they really value dogs having a home. So what they did was, with all of their activation budget, they worked with the different dog pounds and different agencies in different cities to make sure that all of their sponsorship and activation dollars were going towards getting dogs homes. And what that did for them was they really tapped into that shared value with their customer, and so then their customer purchased more of their product. So again, with us being a low involvement product, we need to try and find other things that people care about. So a simple example of this that we've looked at it but haven't executed is, do our customers really value the activities of the Children's Hospital, for example? So maybe instead of the $100 incentive check going to the customer, instead we give them an option where it can be donated to the Children's Hospital in their name. So we haven't done that, but that's something that we're exploring and could be a good way to tap into that people's other values. This is probably one of our biggest ones, and actually Greg alluded to this a couple times as far as strategies for people, especially around gaining the trustworthiness, and that's the idea of creating strong partnerships. For the last 10 years, that's been a core value of all of our program managers, and it's really critical. And you know, in the end, you're going to get way more promotion of your product because of all the things that they can bring to the table, all the promotional channels that they can bring to the table, and also that, again, these are the people that the customers trust, right? Definitely more than the utility. So it's really critical. I've tried to define it for our program managers. I've called it, we want to be market disruptors versus game changers. And what do I mean by that? It may not be the exact right words, but what I'm trying to say to people is, if you've got the option of going out and doing a program where you can do it much quicker and easier, or maybe even cheaper if you just do it yourself. You don't involve partners. So an example of that is, like many of us, we could have run a compact fluorescent light bulb campaign where we mailed the bulbs to people, or we'd ask people to come to the BC Hydro office to pick them up. That would have been, from a logistics point of view, way easier, probably would have been cheaper. But what we decided to do, because of this principle, was we really worked closely with our retail partners and drove customers to the retail store to get the bulbs, worked with the partner to have lots of special offers when they arrived, and also worked with every manufacturer of compact fluorescent bulbs, particularly the ones that those retailers had partnerships with, to make sure they were part of the program, rather than just procuring one bulb that we could get at the lowest cost.